Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Maurice, the sports historian, back again with another video. And today we got the 2023 NFL team tier list. This is going to be my projections for every NFL team where they're going to be in the 2023 season. And after I make this, I will somewhat order them within the tiers. And I'll also, at the end of the season, at the end of the regular season, I will compare this to what the actual standings look like and see what I got wrong, see what I got right. But without further ado, we're going to start it off. These are in alphabetical order. And unfortunately, the Arizona Cardinals are going to go in F tier, making them my first F tier team. I don't see this team being any good. You know, Kyler, he's dealing with that torn ACL. They're dealing with the head coaching change. They just lost their best receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. I don't foresee this team being any good. I think that they're probably going to be one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. I could be wrong on that, but if I am wrong, they're not going to be any greater than like bottom like 8 teams at all. It's unfortunate because I had a lot of hope for this team in the future when they went on that crazy win streak. I think it was 2 seasons ago. They went like 9-0, 10-0, and then they lost that game to the Green Bay Packers, where I think it was AJ Green just didn't turn around on a touchdown pass. That would have been a touchdown pass if he turned around, and he got picked off, and that started a losing streak for them, and then they just collapsed after that. Obviously, with the departure of Cliff Kingsbury, they have a new head coach who I can't think of off the top of my head, but it's a lot of moving parts with this Cardinals team, and I think that that's going to lead to them being a very bad football team next season. Speaking of very bad football teams next season, I got the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are just a mess, bro. They drafted Kyle Pitts, and then the first season he had a very good season. And then last season, it just seemed like he was not involved in the offense at all. Granted, they had Marcus Mariota starting at quarterback for if not most of the last season. So that's not going to benefit Kyle Pitts in any substantial way. But I don't know, man. Being an Atlanta Falcons fan is probably super hard in the year 2023, bro. It's just some of the decisions that they make are just baffling. Again, similar to the Cardinals, I don't expect them to be any good next season. Probably going to be within the bottom 5 teams of the league. And I think they might have been last year as well. I don't know off the top of my head. But moving on to my Baltimore Ravens. All bias aside, I'm going to put us in the A tier. I think that with the offensive coordinator change from Greg Roman to Ted Monken, transitioned into a similar style of offense that Lamar played when he was at Louisville. If you guys didn't know, he played a pro style offense at Louisville. So, you know, us switching him from that to an offense that barely ran 11 personnel, I think it was like dead last in the, I'm pretty confident that we ran 11 personnel like the least in the NFL last season. And obviously, if you watched us last season, our offense at times looked very, very terrible, especially with Lamar out. But even when Lamar was in, it was just we couldn't find the end zone at all. That crept up in the mid to later half of the season, and we ended up making the playoffs. But that was something that plagued us, and it even plagued us a little bit in the wild card game that we played against the Bengals, which I don't want to talk about right now. But yeah, I think with the introduction of Todd Monken's system, the improvements that we have in our receiving core, Rashad Bateman's back healthy, Zay Flowers we just drafted, Odell Beckham Jr. is a new addition. I think that this Ravens team is going to be exciting. We're going to put up points like we did in Lamar's MVP season, and it's going to be a great time. Hopefully we can get over the hump and start to chain playoff games together, get a good playoff run going, and hopefully make that Super Bowl. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll discuss the Baltimore Ravens in depth more in a future video that I will get out before the season starts. But yeah, A tier. Speaking of A tier, Buffalo Bills. The Bills have been very consistent in the regular season for the past few years, ever since they got Stephon Diggs. It's been lights out for their offense consistently. It's just in the playoffs they've had trouble. Their defense has been squishy in the playoffs, and their defense has taken slight steps down. I feel like 2-3 years ago we would have said that this Bills defense is elite, and I'm leaning away from saying that now, especially seeing some of the more recent happenings with the defense and how they played last season. But don't get it twisted. This team is still to be feared, and I, for one, would be a little scared to match up against them in the playoffs because this offense is potent and it is deadly. Although we haven't seen Diggs and Josh Allen connect as much as we would have liked in the playoff games that they've played, I still am not going to count them out. So they're going to be an A-tier team for me. Now, here is where we're going to deviate from the A and F tier. The Carolina Panthers, I got them in D tier. I don't think they're going to be good at all. But with the addition of Bryce Young, hopefully he gets a little more acclimated to the NFL sooner than you'd hope. We can start seeing flashes out of him towards like game 8, 9, 10. I don't know if the Panthers have announced that he'll be the starter game 1. I think Andy Dalton's on that team, so he probably will be the starter day 1, and in my opinion, that'll probably be the right decision for them to make as far as their future. Bryce Young has all the talent in the world, and this defense to start off the season, this defense looked absolutely amazing, and then they petered off. So hopefully we can get some more of the good defense that we saw from the Panthers early in the season, and I think that they're going to struggle offensively, not due to them like not having the talent. It'll just be to, this offense isn't fully built together yet. I don't think they know what direction they want to go. They just traded away DJ Moore to the Bears, and they had Christian McCaffrey traded away, so they're in a rebuilding process. Obviously, this is going to be a rebuilding team. I don't see them being a bottom 5 team in the league, but I don't see them being any higher than like a bottom 8 team, if that makes any sense. Speaking of the Bears and moving on, I have the Bears taking a pretty decent jump. I have them as a B-tier team. I think that given the right circumstance, the right situation, they could even come out of the NFC North. That's a little less likely than what I think is going to happen. I think they could snatch a wild card spot if they get lucky enough. But this Bears team, they have a lot of upside. Justin Fields, I'm high on Justin Fields. I see the potential that Justin Fields has. They're building around Justin Fields in this offense. They got Chase Claypool last season. He didn't have a crazy impact, but Chase Claypool is someone that I wanted on my team from seeing him on the Steelers. Chase Claypool is a good receiver. DJ Moore is a good receiver. Someone else that I wanted to have on the Ravens, from the Panthers. He's a good receiver. They're surrounding Justin Fields with good receivers. They're surrounding him with the talent. The offensive line is getting better. It still wasn't great last season, but it's getting better. Their defense is a little up in the air because they traded Roquan Smith to us, but I think that a little bit of retooling and their defense should, be solid enough to get them to the playoffs potentially. I see a lot of upside with this Bears team. It's not going to pay off just yet. I don't think they're going to, blow teams out the water starting this season, but give it like 2-3 years. This Bears team is going to be very, very dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, I can't be biased and not give them their credit. The Bengals are an A-tier team, and oh my goodness, this is like horrible for the NFC right now. We got the Falcons, the Cardinals, and the Panthers all bottom 3 in the list right now, and are all NFC teams. And the AFC is AA and A tier. Joe Burrow, he's that guy. I can't discredit him. As much as I don't like the Bengals, for me as a Ravens fan, as a new Ravens fan, the Bengals are my number 1 competition because the Browns ain't been shit, the Steelers ain't been shit since I've been a fan, and the only team that's given us competition has been the Bengals. So within the division, I would say the Bengals, good team. I'm not in love with the coaching sometimes, and I'm also not in love with their defense, but their offense is fucking nuclear, and when it's on, it's on. When Joe Burrow's on, he's fantastic. In my opinion, top 5-6 quarterback in the NBA. In my opinion, top 5-6 quarterback in the NFL, and you just can't discount this Bengals team. So I got them in A tier for now because the AFC North still runs through the Ravens. And do not forget that. Speaking of AFC North and a team that I've seen a lot of hype around this offseason for whatever reason, the Browns. I don't see them being standout teams at all. Deshaun Watson didn't look good at all last season. He hasn't looked good in training camp, even though training camp is a little iffy because things are cherry picked and it's all within the context of this is training camp. So I don't put too much stock in that, but yeah, some of the things about this Browns team, a lot of people have lauded their defense. I personally need to see more out of it yet. They have tremendous talent on the defensive side of the ball, but it hasn't come together yet. The offense is Nick Chubb, and that's basically it, because Amari Cooper's good, but Deshaun Watson wasn't good last season, and I don't know what Deshaun Watson we're going to get. I definitely don't think we're going to get Houston Deshaun Watson to start off the season. Maybe if he ramps up, he can turn it back on and turn back the clock a little bit, but I don't foresee this Browns team being super good at all. So C tier is where I got them. Now, the first NFC team to sneak into the A tier, I got the Cowboys. Now, if you would ask me like 3 months ago, I probably would have said, "Oh, the Cowboys, they're gonna be like middle of the pack," and that would have been a little disingenuous. Their defense is looking very stout. With the addition of Stephon Gilmore, the talent that they already have, Trevon Diggs, progressing, Micah Parsons. We don't have to talk about Micah Parsons. We know what he's about. This team has the talent. And that's been the narrative around the Cowboys for fucking ever. They have the talent to be great. It all falls on Dak Prescott's shoulders. We saw that this offense was terrible in that game against the Vikings. And they weren't terrible during the entire regular season. So it's like, where is the disconnect? The disconnect is Dak Prescott going to be able to win you any playoff games? I want to say yes, because I truly think that Dak Prescott, talent-wise, is like a top 10, 8, 9, talented quarterback in the NFL. He puts up yards. He's got a big arm. He's accurate enough. He has all the tools. It's just frustrating to see that him never build anything with the tools that he's been given. Because let's not pretend like the Cowboys haven't had a great offensive line, for the past a little less last year, but they've had a great offensive line. They've had tremendous running backs. They've had good wide receivers. They have a top 15 wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, who could, climb up to that top 10 status next season. I don't know, but it all falls on Dak Prescott's shoulders. I don't know if I'm willing to trust Dak Prescott anymore because of what we've seen in the past, but hey, I'm never run to truly just write off quarterbacks. As we saw last season, Geno Smith, they wrote him off and he ain't right back. So hopefully Dak Prescott cannot write back or something like that. I don't fucking know, bro. But the Cowboys are an A-tier team. I foresee them making the playoffs, and hopefully they can win 1 or 2 games. That's about the ceiling I got them at, though. The Broncos are also going to go in C tier. With the addition of Sean Payton as their head coach, I think that they're going to get better. Who was their head coach last year? Was it McManus? I think it was McManus. McManus was a terrible head coach, just flat out. And not only that, we saw the worst season from Russell. We saw the worst season possible from Russell Wilson and this Broncos offense. Their defense was great. Their defense kept them in the games. Their offense couldn't win them shit because they couldn't score. Damn, I just realized. I just remembered. I think Tim Patrick had missed last season with a significant injury, and I think during training camp he had got injured again. So this is going to be the second season that he misses. So that's another kneecap to this Broncos offense that struggled last season. I don't foresee them being super good. I don't foresee them being super terrible like they were last year. So C tier it is. The Lions are up next, and they're an interesting bunch. Their offense was fucking like on. I think they had like a top 5 offense during the regular season last season. It was just unfortunate that their defense was dead ass the worst defense in the NFL, and so they couldn't capitalize on having such an electric offense. I don't think that the magic is going to last until this season. Hopefully they prove me wrong, because I like being proven wrong about teams that I say are bad, and then they prove me wrong and just show up and they're lights out. But I don't foresee that happening. I think that the offense is going to take a step back. Hopefully their defense takes a step up. But even with that, their head coaches, they got a good head coach, they got a good OC, but it's just they still have to work through some things. So C tier is where I find them at. Speaking of teams that have to work through some teams, this is the first year that we're seeing the Green Bay Packers without either Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers in like 25 years or something crazy like that, because they went directly from Brett Favre into having Aaron Rodgers, because they drafted Aaron Rodgers, when Brett Favre was still the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, and then they transitioned from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another. This is going to be the first season without that Hall of Fame quarterback, and I don't know, bro. I don't know how I'm looking. I'm going to put him in C tier just because I think that, who's the head coach? LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is a very good head coach. So I think that given with what he's going to have to work with, I think that he can make something out of that with this team. They're not completely destitute of talent. They have some pretty good talent, some pretty good pieces around them. But I don't see them being any higher than like a 7-8 win team, 6-win team, something like that. So that's that with that. Houston Texans, I'm not going to talk about them much. They're going to be a bottom 5 team, and you can damn near guarantee it, bro. The Houston Texans organization fucking sucks. And this team sucks. This organization sucks. Everything about them sucks, and I don't want to talk about them anymore. The Indianapolis Colts. Wow. Talk about quarterback hangover. We thought that going into, the 2020 season? Or it might have been a 2021 season. This team was poised to look like juggernauts in the AFC. And then Andrew Luck retired. And then they had a revolving QB carousel that involved, if I'm not mistaken, it went from Andrew Luck to Phillip Rivers, then from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz, then from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan. That is like a trio of mid. Not saying that Phillip Rivers entirely is mid, but the twilight years of his career. Actually, no. His last season was decent enough because they made the playoffs. So it's more like Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan last season was not good at all. And Carson Wentz, oh my goodness, we don't even got to talk about Carson Wentz and how they choked away that season, because they were a playoff team again. And then they lost to the fucking, the worst team in the league, Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how that tracks. I don't know what this organization is doing. Oh, and last season, they hired Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach. What the fuck was that about? This team, I'm going to just slide them in D tier. I don't like them. I don't think they're going to be good. And we're going to move on. Speaking of a team that I think is going to be good, but not as good as some people are projecting, Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to slot them in B tier. I think that they're basically a lock to win the AFC South. The AFC South is fucking terrible besides them, as you'll see in the future, because we still got the Titans to rank, and the Texans are already in F tier, and the Colts are in D tier. So I don't got very much to say about this Jacksonville Jaguars team other than this isn't going to be their year, but just wait 2-3 years. Like I said with the Bears, they're going to be a problem. And I know this firsthand because the game that we played versus them, the Ravens played versus them, they won that game off the strength of their defense, because their defense forced a fumble. I don't know if they forced it. Wait, did they force that fumble, or did our running back just let go of the ball? I don't know. Either way, they won that game, and that was an impressive win for them. And then the comeback that they had against the Chargers in the playoffs was absolutely phenomenal. So be on the lookout for the horizon. Be on that. This team, the Jacksonville Jaguars team, is on the horizon. I can't speak. Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think I have to say anything else. Let's move on. This Chargers team. This Chargers team has consistently failed. They've just consistently failed. Brandon Staley, you're on the clock, buddy. If I was managing this Chargers team, you would have been out last season, because there's no fucking way we should have missed the playoffs last season. I hope that they're going to improve. I hope that their defense can stay healthy and improve, because they have way too much talent on the defensive end for them to be lacking on the defensive end. It doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is Justin Herbert is a fucking dog. And I put a lot of stock in Justin Herbert. I think that he can will this team to the playoffs if need be. Granted, his conference, the Super Bowl champions are in it, but besides that, I'm not high on the Broncos. And who are the other team in the AFC West? Oh, and I'm definitely not high on the Raiders, as you guys will see. So they can rack up some wins within their division. Might be able to sneak one off the Chiefs. I don't know what the rest of their season is looking like, but they can make the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, anything goes. Obviously, we just saw them make the playoffs and collapse in probably the worst collapse that I've seen as an active football fan. But, well, there's one more, but I'm not going to bring that up because Atlanta fans are not going to like that. But, yeah, I see the Chargers being the B-tier team. Good, not great. Moving on to a team who... Super Bowl hangover. That shit hit them hard last year, man. And I don't see them being super, super good this season. They're getting Matt Stafford back, so he's going to be healthy. But I don't know, man. We saw a lot of regression from Stafford when he was healthy last season, which, granted, he just came off of a Super Bowl. And this team lost their second best receiver to an ACL injury, and then they lost Cooper Kupp somewhere along the last season. So the Stafford to Cooper Kupp connection, it'll win them some games, but I don't think that this team is going to be anywhere near the playoffs. I got them as a middle of the pack team, and that's probably where they're going to be. Moving on to the Raiders, F tier. The Raiders fucking suck, and I'm not going to elaborate. Moving on to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are an interesting bunch. I have them as a C-tier team strictly because of some of the other teams that are in their conference. Obviously, I'll put the Bills in A-tier, and the Jets, as you guys will see soon, I'm going to have them ranked pretty high as well. They suffered an injury with Jalen Ramsey. I don't think he's going to miss the entire season, but he is going to miss a significant time during the season because he had an injury during training camp. So yeah, I have them as a C-tier team. Their offense, hopefully if their offense clicks the way it should and the way it did last year, their offense can carry them to a bunch of wins, and they might be able to sneak a few off of some of the better teams that they play this season just off the strength of their offense alone. That defense, it's a little squishy, and it was a little squishy last year. So yeah, hopefully they can shore that up, and if they get Jalen Ramsey back within the middle of the season, like game 8, 9, then he can bolster that defense up some more. But right now, I got the Dolphins as a C-tier team. I'm looking at my phone right now. I have the tier list already made, and I'm just going based off that so that I'm not doing this off of strictly memory. Next up is the Vikings. The Vikings are high-quality mid, and I mean that in the most sincere way possible. Why is Kirk Cousins still the quarterback of this team? I don't know. But as Kirk Cousins has been the quarterback of this team, they've been they've been in the playoffs. It's just the expectations around them haven't been, for them to go far. They've been all right. They've been good enough to make the playoffs. They've been good enough to win games in the playoffs. But besides that, I don't see this team going very far. So I got them as a B-tier team. I don't think that Kirk Cousins needs to be a quarterback of this team anymore. They've given him so much money. For what reason? I don't know. Just for them to stay slightly above mediocre. Hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a fucking Randy Moss jersey on right now. Speaking of the Patriots, the Patriots aren't going to be good. I got them as a D-tier team. Mac Jones, okay, I guess. They lost some pieces on the defensive end last season, that being J.C. Jackson, who, to Belichick's credit, he didn't look good at all when he played for the Chargers, and then he got injured, so we still don't know what he's going to look like. But their offense was bad. Their defense was all right. Their defense is probably going to be all right as well, and I don't see any major changes in their offense. So D tier it is. Another D tier team, the Saints. I was tempted to move them to an F tier because I just do not have any expectations for the Saints at all. This team is, I don't know what they're doing. They need to go into full rebuild mode, and they needed to as soon as Drew Brees retired. They tried to hold on to the smallest ounce of possibility that their championship window was still open. It wasn't, and because it wasn't, they're suffering the consequences of that right now. So I think that this is probably the season that we see the breaking point for this organization, and they finally start to blow it up. So yeah, D tier it is. The New York Giants, New York Football Giants. I got them as a C tier team. No real expectations. Daniel Jones got paid. Saquon Barkley took a 1-year deal, so hopefully they can build on that chemistry that they had last season, because believe it or not, the Giants was pretty entertaining to watch last season. But that was about it. They weren't super great. I didn't have them as contenders. I wasn't shocked when did they beat the Vikings? I wasn't super shocked when they beat the Vikings. Just because I didn't have any expectations for the Vikings, but I don't know. Maybe they might be able to sneak into a wild card spot, and again, that's a big maybe. But I'm not seeing any crazy projections for this New York team. The other New York team, on the other hand, hey now, Robert Saleh, he's got a lot to work with now because they have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is coming off of a down year, but I foresee that will be in the past, and a fresh start is what Aaron Rodgers needed. Keep an eye on that, because although a fresh start is sometimes great for quarterbacks, this is coming off the heels of the Packers saying, "Hey, we want Tampa Bay in Lambeau. We want whoever in Lambeau." And then Tampa Bay came to Lambeau, and the Packers choked at Lambeau. And then the Buccaneers went on to win the Super Bowl, and then it's been a downward spiral from there. We saw the breakup happening between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers organization, so none of us are surprised that he's a Jet this season. But I think that the Jets they're going to be good because they have pieces around Aaron Rodgers. I like some of the pieces that they have on offense. I'm blanking on the names of their receivers, but they have 2 receivers that I really like for Aaron Rodgers, as well as Breece Hall. He's going to be coming back from injury, and I think James Robinson is who they acquired from the Jaguars. I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that for sure. But I think this Jets team is going to be all right. They might sneak into the playoffs. I'd actually bet on them to potentially make the playoffs, depending on, there's a lot of AFC teams up here, so damn. They might be able to. I wouldn't be surprised if they did get a playoff spot, off the back of Aaron Rodgers, returning to form, especially if Aaron Rodgers returns to form. If Aaron Rodgers returns to form, the AFC going to be looking super dangerous. So I got them as a B tier team. Super Bowl runner-up Philadelphia Eagles. They lost a little bit on the defensive end, but I still have this team pegged as an elite team, and shit, I don't really see any true competition coming out of the NFC. Somebody's going to have to surprise me this season. So S tier they go. Steelers, I don't have very much to say about the Steelers, except that Mike Tomlin, your 500 record streak is probably going to end this season, buddy, because this team is not good. The Seahawks, I have them in C tier. We're probably going to see more from them that we saw last season. They were all right. They weren't crazy. I don't think that Geno Smith is the future, and I don't think that this team is poised to win in any meaningful capacity. So they'll probably get 6-7 wins, something like that. Not great, but not horrible. Moving on. San Francisco 49ers. they're literally just a starting quarterback away. And from the looks of it, I follow some Niners fans. Trey Lance has looked great in training camp. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's at least a starting level quarterback come week 1 of the NFL season. If that's the case, the San Francisco team is dangerous because every major positional group that you can think of is elite for this team. The issue has been quarterback, and to a larger point with the entire team, health. They haven't been able to be healthy, and their quarterback situation has been fucking terrible for the past however many seasons. As long as Trey Lance comes in, plays fine, starting level quarterback, he could be like the 15th best quarterback in the league, and I will consider this team very, very dangerous. And shit, by the looks of it, the NFC ain't really looking like shit, so they could make it back to the NFC Championship game, bro. And that's crazy to say, but I truly believe that they're just a quarterback away, and that's where I got them at the A tier. These last 3 teams, I'm not gonna lie, we gonna speed past them. We just gonna put them down. Where did I have the Titans? I had the Titans also in this tier, and the Washington football team. So this is the completed list. Now I'm going to order them in the order that I actually had. Again, this is semi-order. This isn't fully like how I think every team is going to do and where I'm placing every single team. But yeah, so this is the order that I'm going to go with. I'm going to make I'm going to make an audible and move the Browns down a tier, and I'm going to put them right there. So yeah, this is the audible that I'm going to call. Boom, boom. The worst team in the league is probably going to be the Falcons. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, this is my completed tier list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know who you guys have as your top 2, top 3 teams in the NFL. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all with another video very, very soon. Peace out.